Hello students. So in this video we are going to discuss about the semi-technical description of a typical flowering plant. Okay, but before that, so different countries will follow different classification types, and our country is following Bentham and Hooker's classification. And you will find this Bentham and Hooker's classification in their book titled Genera Plantarum. And in that, they have recognized 202 families. 202 families. And among which 199 are angiospermic families. And 3 are gymnospermic families. Okay, but in this 199, 165 are dicot families. Thirty-four are monocot families. Three gymnospermic families. So these both of them are angiospermic families. So 165 plus 34, that is 199. And 3 are gymnospermic families. So 199 plus 3, 202 families. And every family will have some different characteristics. Every family will have different characteristics. And these characteristics will become diagnostic features to differentiate them. So that's what the statement here I wrote. Different characteristics of a family are the diagnostic features which enable us to differentiate them. If we want to differentiate them, one should know about the characteristics of the family. So every family will have a particular characteristics. Okay, so and generally in taxonomy, so vegetative characters and floral characters, among these vegetative characters and floral characters, which are given importance is floral characters. Because vegetative characters may change because of the environmental conditions, but the floral characters will remain constant. Means what? The floral characters are stable. And these diagnostic features are mainly based on floral characters like, what are those floral characters? Sexuality of the flower. Because all flowers do not show the same sexuality. Some flowers are unisexual and some flowers are bisexual. And the unisexual flowers may be male flowers or female flowers. Male flowers are called staminate flowers. Female flowers are called pistillate flowers. So that we will consider here. Okay, sexuality of the flower and symmetry of the flower. And the symmetry already we discussed in the chapter flower, and it can be studied in terms of number or in terms of structure. One is numerical symmetry, the other one is structural symmetry. And based on numerical symmetry, means we consider the number there, and the flowers may be trimerous, tetramerous, or pentamerous. That is numerical symmetry. And based on structural symmetry, the flowers may be showing okay, actinomorphic, or zygomorphic, or asymmetrical. So that is what we will see in this symmetry of the flower. And position of ovary with respect to floral whorls. So the position of ovary may be superior, or it may be half superior, half inferior, or it may be inferior. And based on that, we recognize three types of flowers. That is hypogynous, perigynous, epigynous. So that is position of ovary and bracts. Some flowers will have bracts and we call them as bracteate flowers, and some are without bracts and then we call them as what? Bracteate flowers. So we will check whether bract is there or not. And next, we will consider the characters like calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynoecium. So, calyx, a collective name for the sepals, and corolla is the collective name for the petals. Androecium is the male sex organ and composed of stamens, and gynoecium is the female sex organ and is composed of carpels. Okay, and for a systematic study and quick comprehension of all the diagnostic features of a family, these characters are symbolized. Okay, I hope you're understanding. For a systematic study and quick comprehension of all these diagnostic features of a family, these characters are symbolized. These characters are symbolized and put in the form of a floral formula. Put in the form of a floral formula. So, you have to understand this one. That means you have to remember these points, that what can be represented in the floral formula and what cannot be represented in the floral formula. Because in the examinations they will ask you, the floral formula this character cannot be represented, or they will ask in the floral diagram this character cannot be represented. So that's why what we will do is that we will draw some diagrams which are called floral diagrams. Floral diagrams are also drawn which give some extra information. The floral diagrams will give us some extra information. What is that extra information? Placentation. So you can't show that placentation with the symbols. Okay, so that's why placentation can be represented in the floral diagram but not in the floral formula. Okay, and the position of mother axis, whether that means we discussed that in the flower. So the flower will have posterior side and anterior side, and how can we represent, and which petal is towards the posterior side and which petal is towards the anterior side. So all that will be represented in the floral diagrams. So the position of mother axis and eastivation. Okay, in the floral formula, we can mention the number of sepals and the number of petals or number of tepals, but how they are arranged, So that is called eastivation. And that eastivation cannot be represented in the floral formula but can be represented in the floral diagram. So we can show whether it is valvate eastivation, twisted eastivation, imbricate eastivation, or vexillary eastivation. So that is about this floral formula and floral diagrams. So let us discuss now the symbols that are used in the floral formula. Okay. So when the flower is with bract, we describe the flower as what bracteate, and the symbol for that is what Br. And where this bract is present on the peduncle. What is peduncle? Okay, axis of the inflorescence. And suppose the bract is absent, then the flower is described as bracteate, and the symbol is EBR. And now the stalk of the flower is called pedicel, and over the pedicel you will find some leaf-like appendages which are called bracteoles. They may or may not be present. If they are present, the flower is described as bracteolate and the symbol is BRL. And if they are absent, ebracteolate and the symbol is EBRL. And when the flower can be cut into two equal halves from any plane passing through the center, it is called actinomorphic flower, and the symbol for actinomorphic flower is this plus in the circle. And suppose if the flower can be cut into two equal halves, but only from one particular plane, it is called zygomorphic flower, and the symbol is percentage. When the flower is having both androecium and gynoecium, it is called bisexual flower, and the symbol for bisexual is this. And when the flower is having either androecium or gynoecium, then it is unisexual flower. If it has androecium, it is unisexual male, and this is the symbol. And remember, the male flowers are also called staminate flowers. And when the flower is with only female sex organ, that is gynoecium, then it is called a unisexual female flower, and the symbol is this. And it is also called as pistillate flower. And now let us come to the calyx and corolla. Both are having same letters CC. So that's why, just to differentiate the calyx, for calyx we are using the letter K. And if the sepals are free, we call that as what, polysepalous. And here you can see here K and subscript N. So N is number of sepals. Gamosepalous. You see here K N in brackets. So that means the brackets represent, that is cohesion of the sepals. Okay. Or wherever brackets we are using, that indicates that they are united. Okay. Now come to the corolla. The symbol is C, and polypetalous, when petals are free, you can see here C N. Okay. Gamopetalous, so C N in brackets. So gamopetalous, united petals. And suppose if we can't differentiate calyx and corolla in any flower because of the similar color, then what term we use? Perianth, as in the case of Liliaceae family. In most of the monocots, the same condition you will find. So that is called perianth, and the symbol for perianth is P. And here also, if the tepals, the members of perianth are called tepals, and if these tepals are free, the condition is called polyphylous condition, and you can see here Pn, subscript N. We are not using any brackets. And when they are fused, gamophilous, and you can see here the P and N in the brackets, means what, gamophilous. And now let us come to this androecium. Androecium symbol is A, and the number will be, suppose if there are 5, A5. If there are 6, A6. If they are showing that okay, diadelphous condition, 9 fused and 1, it will be like this. And if they are infinite number, so A infinite number. And sometimes you will find this condition that they are attached to other floral parts. And when the stamens are attached to petals, we call this condition as what? Epipetalous. And if stamens are attached to tepals, then it is called epiphyllous condition. And you see here, we are using this line. We are attaching this line. This is corolla, this is the androecium. Line. Line represents addition or adnation. So like this. And gynoecium, symbol for gynoecium is G, and the gynoecium is composed of carpels, and if these carpels are free, we call that gynoecium as what? Epocarpous gynoecium. So you see here Gn. Okay, and if the carpels are fused, we call that gynoecium as what? Syncarpous gynoecium, G N in brackets. And of course, you know, these flowers will be hypogynous, okay, perigynous, epigynous, and depending on the position of ovary. So if the position ovary is above all and others are present below it, so we describe that ovary as what? Superior ovary. And how we represent that in the floral formula? We keep a hyphen below the letter G, and we keep the hyphen above the letter G if it is inferior, and we keep the hyphen by the side of the letter G if it is half superior, half inferior. That's how we have to use these symbols. Now, let us take one example, that is Brassicas family. So, in the Brassicas family, the flowers are tetramerous and the calyx is with 4 sepals, and they are arranged in 2 whorls, 2 plus 2, and the estivation is imbricate estivation. So, the corolla is composed of 4 petals and they are arranged in the shape of cross. That's why it is called cruciform corolla, and the estivation is valvate. And the androecium, the male sex organ, is composed of 6 stamens, and they are exhibiting one condition called tetradynamous condition. And they are arranged in 2 whorls, and in the outer whorl 2 short outer whorl and 4 long are in the inner whorl. And gynoecium, that is the female sex organ of the flower, is having 2 carpels, so it is bicarpellary, and they are united, so syncarpous, and initially unilocular, but one septum, a false septum, develops and divides that into 2 locules, so later it becomes bilocular due to formation of this false septum called replum. And the placentation is parietal placentation. So now let us say how these features are represented in the form of floral diagram. Okay, so see here, this is the floral diagram of Brassicaceae family, one member, and here one mark is there, and it may be just simply dot, or you may keep cross in, okay, into mark in the circle that represents the posterior side of the flower. Posterior side. And in this family, there is no bract. So, otherwise, if there is bract, we will show the bract like this. And that represents the anterior side of the flower. And in this family, the flowers are not bracteolate. Let us imagine bracteoles are there. So, if bracteoles are present, so the bracteoles are represented like this. But these are absent. And you can see here the petals and the sepals, they are represented with the brackets, but some different kinds of brackets. So for sepals, generally we use the flower bracket, and for petals we use normal brackets. And you can see here, according to the information we have, the 2 sepals are present outside in the outer whorl, and 2 sepals are present in the inner whorl. So the estivation is imbricate estivation. And now when we come to these petals, the number of petals are 4, and they are arranged side by side. Okay, and you can see that they are arranged in the shape of cross, so cruciform corolla, and they are not overlapping or underlapping. So that's why it is valvate estivation. And now these are stamens represented with the only anthers in the floral diagram, and you can see these 2 are in the outer whorl and they are represented with the bigger anthers, and they are actually short stamens, and these 4 are in the inner whorl and they are long stamens. So tetradynamous condition. And of course, here in every anther there is one line is there that shows that they are Diagnostic anthers. And the lobes are facing towards the center or facing towards the gynoecium, that is called intrors. If they are reversed like this outside, extrors. Okay, and now when we come to the gynoecium, we can't draw the entire gynoecium, that is stigma, style, ovary, in the floral diagram. Only TS of ovary is represented in the floral diagram, and it is showing two carpels, so bicarpellary, and they are united, so syncarpus, and actually there will be one locule initially, but later one false septum called replum developed. So this is replum, and that's why it becomes bilocular. And of course, you can see that these are ovules attached to the inner wall. So the placentation is parietal placentation. And now, how to write the floral formula? Okay, the floral formula, as I told you, the flowers are without bracts, so ebracteate, EBR, and they are without bracteoles, so EBRL, ebracteolate, and they are actinomorphic, so plus in the circle, actinomorphic symbol, and this is bisexual symbol. Okay, both androecium and gynoecium are there, and the calyx 4 but arranged in two whorls, 2 plus 2, and corolla 4 free, that means polypetalous, and these are also free, so polysepalous, and androecium 2 plus 4 free, but remember one thing, it should be 2 plus 4, not 4 plus 2. Okay, why? The 2 are in the outer wall and 4 are in the inner wall. And the gynoecium, so 2 is there, means what? Bicarpellary. And brackets we are keeping, means what? They are united, syncarpus. And the hyphen below the letter G represents that it is hypogynous flower with superior ovary. I hope you are understanding. Just by looking at the floral formula, you can we can write some of the characters of the flower very easily. And by looking at the floral diagram also, we can write down the characters of this family. So that's what the significance of the floral diagram and the floral formula. Hmm.